If you are doing everything right, if you're hitting your targets, hitting your deadlines, and checking every single box, then why do you still feel like an imposter? You are doing everything you're supposed to do as a successful person. If someone was looking at your resume, your calendar, or even your bank account, they'd tell you you're winning. Then why does it feel like you're just keeping your head above water? Why does achievement feel less like victory and more like an endless cycle of stress? Today, I want to go over why, despite conveying the very image of success on the outside, you still feel like a fragile house of cards on the inside. And why does your internal sense of being okay feel so foreign to your physical reality? I know that gap, the one between how your life looks from the outside and how it actually feels to live from the inside. And I think that gap is trying to tell us something most of us have never been given a chance or a language for. For years, I was the person who took pride in being the first one in and the last one out. I used to think that if I wasn't exhausted at the end of the day, I hadn't worked hard enough, that I'd left something on the table. But one day, I realized I wasn't taking on all this stress and driving myself into exhaustion for ambition. I was actually being driven by a deep, quiet fear. I had this fear that if I stopped moving, if I stopped producing, the fragile house of cards that was my life would just collapse. I was afraid that I'd be forgotten, or worse, exposed for not having the secret to success that everyone else seemed to have. Maybe you too have built something real. The title, the income, the way people ask you for advice instead of the other way around. And most days from the outside, it looks like it's working. But just like it was for me, there's a version of you that only exists when no one's watching. The one who is stressed about an email and reads it twice because their stomach dropped before you even opened it. The one whose shoulders creep up towards their ears in a meeting that's going fine. I mean, it's actually going fine, nothing's wrong. And your body still tenses like something bad is going to happen. I thought I was just being dramatic, but I found out I wasn't. I came to realize that what I was doing was something called bracing. Think about a deer in the woods that hears a twig snap. It doesn't run yet. It just goes rigid. It holds its breath. Its muscles tense. It's bracing for a threat. We do this too. Only for us, the twig is an unread email, a Slack notification, or the start of a quarterly review. We aren't doing this because we want to. We're doing this because our bodies think we're being chased by a predator. Our nervous system is treating all of these mundane interactions as if they were possible threats to our lives. So we had developed a form of self-defense. Our bodies had to learn to stay alert at all times, even after these interactions/threats were long gone. Before, I didn't have a name for it. I just thought bracing was what it was like being on top of things felt from the inside. And that's what makes bracing patterns so hard to catch. It doesn't feel like fear. It feels like ambition. We are living in a permanent state of what's next. And we've mistaken that survival adrenaline for drive. The internet tells us to practice better time management or to learn to prioritize, but that misses the point entirely. You don't need a better calendar. You need to stop living like you're being hunted. Being vigilant all the time is not your personality trait. It's your survival strategy. Out in the world, overworking gets praised as commitment. Hypervigilance gets praised as thoroughness. Never dropping the ball gets praised as excellence. And that's the trap. Because if the thing keeping you exhausted is also the thing that everyone keeps complimenting you on, then why would you ever question it? But a nervous system that is bracing isn't building anything. It's just trying not to get hurt again. And the cost of that shows up quietly. You hit every deadline and still feel like you're one email away from falling apart. You are a person who learned, probably a long time ago, that productivity is the safest place to hide from the fear that you aren't enough. Not because you're failing, because you were never actually safe in the first place. You were just successful. This is exactly why I started this YouTube channel. I wanted to create a space where we stopped treating symptoms, the exhaustion, the overthinking, the self-doubt, and start addressing the root of why we feel so stuck despite our success. If you're finding this helpful, please subscribe to the channel down below so we can continue this journey of untangling these patterns together. Bracing is just the physical way your mind tries to control an uncertain future. But sometimes it's hard to see it in your own day-to-day life. So what do you actually do when you feel stressed? When you feel like bracing in the moment? Well, you don't journal for 45 minutes and you don't overhaul your career. So what do you do in that minute right before you become stressed? I want you to try something. Next time, right before your next high stakes meeting or that email you've been dreading, I want you to do a physical check-in. I want you to stop for 60 seconds and do an internal scan of yourself. I want you to become aware of what's going on in your body. First, start with the jaw. Is your teeth slightly touching or are they clenched? Then move your awareness down to your shoulders. Are they slightly elevated as if you're pulling them up to protect your ears, or are they relaxed down? Then become aware of your breath. Are you breathing deep into your belly, or are you taking shallow sips of air into the top of your chest? That's it. You're not trying to fix anything in the moment. You're just becoming aware. You're proving to your nervous system that you notice it, that your bracing isn't invisible to you anymore, and it doesn't get to run the show without you clocking it first. Because when your body is bracing like this, you are effectively telling your brain, something's wrong. We're in danger. Stay alert. The tragedy for high performers like us is that we hold this shape all day long. We carry bracing into our meetings, into our emails, even into our private time. We are holding ourselves together so tight that we don't have the capacity to notice that we're actually exhausted. We think that if we relax, the work won't get done. But that's a lie that keeps the cycle going. You can work with clarity and presence without needing the adrenaline of a constant emergency running through your veins. I also have an exercise for you. So I want you to grab a notebook. Yes, an actual notebook, not your notes app on your phone, where it lives next to your grocery list and gets lost by Thursday. I want you to answer the following questions. When in the last week did you notice your body bracing before anything actually had gone wrong? What did you tell yourself bracing was? Did you think it was drive, thoroughness, or professionalism? If bracing has been keeping you successful, what has it been costing you that doesn't show up on your resume? And if you stop bracing tomorrow, if your body actually believed it was safe, what's the first thing you think would fall apart? I actually want you to really think about your answer for that last question. Don't rush the answer, because that answer will really show you what you are subconsciously trying to run from. Healing your bracing patterns isn't about failing at your career or losing your drive. It's about changing your relationship to work. When you stop using your life as a way to prove you're safe, you finally get to start living it. The goal here isn't to become less ambitious. The goal is to move from fear-driven performance to grounded power. If you'd like to work with me to help heal your tendency of overfunctioning and move toward a more sustainable way of living, click in the link in the description down below for a free consultation. I have a couple spots open for people, so space is limited. You have already proven that you have the drive and capacity to build a successful life. You've demonstrated that. Now, the challenge, the real work, is learning how to inhabit it without the constant underlying fear. You don't have to keep bracing. You've already made it. All right. I think that's enough for today. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.